Yeah, it's nice.
So, Lisa, friend, you play the flute. You're like you like a chamber musician. You're also a recorded artist. You've been teaching all around the world. You played for Steven Spielberg, also for the royal family, and many other places. How someone would decide to make a profession by playing the flute?
Why?
Yeah, it seems like a very awkward decision.
A crazy decision.
Crazy.
I was 5. I was maybe a crazy kid, but I came from a musical background, and I was living in New York, and my mum took me to a concert in New York, in Lincoln Center, and my dad was concertmaster of the New York Philharmonic, which I think is the greatest orchestra in the world. And I heard Horowitz play Rachmaninoff, which was mind-blowing. And I saw a beautiful woman in the orchestra take the flute and start playing it. And it was the most, as a child, I think it was the most magical thing I'd ever seen. I was just transfixed. And I drove my mother completely crazy to get me a flute. And my dad spoke to this gorgeous flute player whose name is Renee Siebert, who was an incredible flute player and very, very, very well known. And she was adorable, and she took me down Broadway when I was 5, and we got a flute, and it went from there. And well, I was kind of a crazy kid. I just wanted to practice all the time and play the flute and drive my siblings mad playing the flute. And that was it. I knew I wanted to be a flute player, because I at that age, I think if you're going to be a musician, it's not enough to be talented or good, or you have to have a passion for it. And I think that is embedded from an early age. You have to love it, because practice is not always fun, and it can be really isolating as well. So yeah, that's how it began.
But I mean, you play Mozart, you play Villalobos, you play music from soundtracks. But at the age of 5, did you already like that kind of music?
Oh yeah, I absolutely fell in love with it. I mean, I think maybe music's in my blood because of my parents, but I fell in love with music. I just love a beautiful melody, and I think it's really nice as a musician to be able to play all different areas of music as well.
And have you ever felt awkward among your friends, being so young and loving the flute and loving that kind of music?
I mean, I had really cool friends in school. I went to a really strict girls' school in London, and I had such a cool group of friends, and they weren't musicians, and there's a few of them still my really good friends today, and we've all, gone our different ways and found our careers and paths in life. But even as kids, they were amazing. They really thought it was cool, and they would come round to my house, and my mother would make us tea, and my friends would hang out at my house while I practiced, and then we sort of did what all girls did.
And when did you know that you were going to become like a professional musician?
So I was 15, and my dad, I think because my dad could advise me in the profession, so I was lucky to have him. He sort of said, listen, if you really want to do this, we will support you, but you won't be able to go to school the same. which I was like, yeah, wow. My dad said, would you like to go to New York? Because we were living back in London at this time. And he was like, you won't go back to school, but we're going to send you to New York and you can study with René Siebert, the flute player that I had seen as a young child and who was in the New York Philharmonic. And that was it. So I decided, yes, I would go and pursue my dream and work really hard and go and experience amazing things and travel. And, you know, I felt very lucky at such a young age to go off.
And when you read someone's bio, you tend to think, oh, maybe that was a great experience, like playing for this very well-known people, right? Like the royal family of Spielberg. But which was your best experience for yourself in terms of playing live?
Well, I'm not just saying this, but actually really, I'm lucky because I actually really do love performing, and I love playing to audiences. I really, really do enjoy it. But on a completely selfish note, I have got a secret obsession with the movie Jaws. I don't know why. And this is a movie that I've been obsessed with since childhood. So when I just signed to Universal Publishing, and I was asked through Universal if I would perform for Spielberg and for his foundation, the Shoah Foundation, which was a huge honor because I also got to meet incredible people and survivors of the Holocaust. But I think one of the highlights was actually being with the genius Spielberg and getting to talk to him at length about the movie Jaws and the score, that amazing score that John Williams wrote. And he was absolutely gorgeous and lovely, and it was surreal because you didn't feel like you were talking to this megastar legend genius. You knew inwardly, but he just had a way of making me feel so comfortable, and he was so kind and so supportive. So I think that was probably one of my most favorite evenings.
And your worst experience? I mean, have you ever forgotten what you had to play or something like that? Like some kind of stage fright or something?
I had a shocking experience, actually. I was playing a concert in the UK, and I walked out and I fell down a staircase and I hit my head on a sort of a big
Before playing what?
Before I tumbled and I whacked my head, and I think I was trying to be so cool, like nothing had happened, but I was actually in agony and I felt really sick. I think now, had it have happened, I'd have just admitted that I felt horrific, but it was some years ago, and I think in those days I was trying to be a bit cool.
But did you play well at that time?
I played really badly, so it's a lesson. But I think I would have handled it different now.
In what are you doing nowadays as a musician? Or what do you expect doing, knowing that it's so difficult now to be able to work with people, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've actually not left my house, I have to be honest, for 11 weeks now. And yeah, a long time. But I'm lucky I've got outdoor space, so I don't take I don't take this for granted. It's I think for any artist, I think for everyone, not just artists, I think if you're someone where your profession is having to perform or travel, it's been very difficult and frustrating. I mean, I started the year loving, I was traveling, I was in Salzburg, and I played at the Mozarteum, the Mozart Festival, which was just so gorgeous. And then we came back. I didn't think that would be the last time I would be performing for God knows how long. And but I guess it's been a blessing that as musicians, at least, I know it's not the same, but at least we can communicate and coach online, and we can work with students and practice, and it's just, I think, keeping a positive attitude. And I've actually been going through music and learning things that I probably wouldn't have learnt, that I've been, you know, going through things that I haven't looked at for years, which is a really good thing, and going back to doing some practice that hopefully will develop my playing more, because we're always learning, you never stop learning. But no, I mean, it's tough for everyone. I think it's, you know, I try and keep really optimistic, and I try and keep my students really positive as well, because I think for young people it must be very hard not being able to be with your teachers and be in a surrounding where you're all thriving off each other and playing and mixing and playing music together. But I'm just praying that we're going to all get there soon.
And have you ever thought about quitting, like, this is not for me, or I'm not going to be able to make it?
No. I've had times in my life, I'll be honest, where things have not, you know, people look at me and think, oh, life's always easy. I've had times in my life where the path wasn't so easy. But I found the flute a comfort, which I think is a very healthy thing. It's sort of taking my flute, practicing and playing music, sort of has kept me focused and grounded, and given me a focus, and mentally kept me stimulated, which I think is a gift to have that. I think we're very lucky as musicians that we can do that. Maybe
it's a natural thing because you're coming from a family of musicians, right? But it sounds so outsider what you do.
I know, and that's the crazy thing. It does sound, but you would be amazed the amount of musicians that are out there. I mean, I cannot believe how many people play the flute, how many students there are who are preparing their lives for the profession, for music. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of gifted musicians around the world, all dedicating their lives with dreams and, please God, success.
But have you ever felt that one of your students shouldn't pursue that career because it's not enough?
Yes, and that is a great question, because I really try and be honest, like I would with my own child. And I think we have to be very honest to ourselves. And I think if we don't have all the ingredients that are part of succeeding in this profession, we have to look at perhaps that ingredient, or hope that someone will help us work that out or direct us into another direction, because it's too important to waste a young person's life.
And which are those ingredients from your point of view?
Well, I think you have to, like anything, if you're going to be any profession, a tennis player, an ice skater, a ballerina. You've got to have the natural gift. You have to have that natural gift. You have to be able to technically have the facility, but you also have to be able to communicate great artistry. And on top of that, you have to have a good nerve and focused temperament and be able to walk out on a stage or be able to sit in an orchestra and mix and become a team and not be arrogant, to be humble and caring.
Mm-hmm. And do you understand now in a retrospective way, why did you fall in love with the flute instead of other instruments?
Yeah, if I'm honest though, I wish I'd have, my real love is the cello. That's my real passion. But I was 5 years old and I chose the flute. I was 5 and I put so many years into it. And when I was 15, I became obsessed listening to the cello. And I was sort of kicking myself, wishing that I'd have learned the cello. But then I realised it was too late at that age, because already by 15, if you're going to do it as a career, you've got to be well ahead. So I realized that the instrument, actually, it doesn't matter what instrument it is, we're communicating our emotions and our voice. We don't have lyrics, obviously, but we are playing through the instrument and expressing in our own way. So it's a wonderful tool and vehicle to be able to express our feelings.
I see. And in terms of talent, because you mentioned talent, like something that you're born with. Is there a talent for flute, or it could have been cello as well if you had chosen that instrument?
That's another great question. I couldn't really answer that. I think if there's a natural facility, you might have a great facility on the flute, but that doesn't necessarily mean that, yes, just because you're a great musician, that the hands and everything would be right for a string instrument. It's a very personal thing. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that you can go from one instrument to the next.
I see. And this is a personal point of view. I mean,
yeah.
Sometimes I feel that this kind of activities have no sense. There's some kind of absurdity in trying to, play music and, the arts. What kind of meaning do you find in doing so?
With music?
Yeah.
I just think having scores of Mozart and Beethoven and symphonies and Brahms and Shostakovich and Rachmaninoff and Tchaikovsky, I mean, how amazing is that we can see those black splodges on paper and be able to play those genius works through our instruments and be able to communicate to audiences and deliver beautiful, exquisite melodies and emotions. What a gift.
Mm-hmm. And would you like classical music to be more popular, or you don't care about that?
I don't care, actually, because I think I'm not a person that I would ever tell someone what to do, what their taste is, what they should do. I think I love all sorts of music. I'm not just, I'm just a classical musician. I love loads of music, as long as it makes you feel something. I think music is one of the most incredible gifts we have. And, the hours that we can spend going through all sorts of music is insane. It's incredible. I mean, I love everything, really.
I see.
Do you love music?
I love music.
There you go.
I love
but
music.
Someone's got to play it.
I'm not telling you that because it's absurd that I love it. You know, even what I do, sometimes I feel I don't even know why I'm doing it. You know, that's why.
It's quite fun to be. It's quite nice to be absurd and a bit different and a bit crazy and do, you know.
I'm not being judgmental. I'm just.
Oh, I don't think you are. I'm laughing. I think I love what you're saying.
I mean, I love so much music that if you agree, I know we don't have the best technical, you know, facilities, but I know you have the flute. I mean, is there any chance you could play the Pragenses via Zoom?
On my flute now?
Yeah.
Oh. I think I have to get the music out because I actually can't. It's so long since I actually touched it. I will. I'll have to find my music, but it is so long since I recorded that last year, and I don't even know where the music is.
So you.
But yeah.
And
you like that?
Yeah, yeah, I love it.
See, that's my example. That melody, which is so exquisite and so beautiful, it does something to the soul. It makes you feel something.
Yeah, and I love the way you played.
Thank you.
I really, really do. Yeah.
Well, I'm very touched. Thank you.
But is it feasible if you take that?
You want me to play it?
Yes. Please.
Okay, well, you might have to pause this while I find it. Okay?
Okay, tell me when you're ready.
I'm not ready.
Okay.
But I just need to warm up. Because
Good.
it will sound pretty nasty otherwise. Because a flute, it's cold, and a flute has to be warm to play.
Wait. I like it so much. You know, it's very strange because when I listen to you playing that, I fall in love with you, and then I ask myself, should I fall in love with you or with Villalobos? You know? Who is responsible for that love? But you know, and maybe you're like, you know, I don't even know you. Maybe you're a nightmare. But when you play that kind of music and so well, you fall in love.
I hope I'm not a nightmare.
No, lovely.
Thank you.
I hope next time I will be able to listen to your music, but live.
Me too. it's been a while. I hope so too.
Well, I really enjoyed this conversation. I hope other people like it as well. And
I loved it. It's so good to chat to you.
It's very nice talking to you and listening to you.
Oh, well, I'll look forward to when we can catch up properly.
We will.
And I can take you to a concert.
I'd love to. And also, it's nice. I hope that other people might know who you are also, through social media in this case.
Oh, thank you.
Take care.
It's so good to talk to you. And look after yourself.
Thanks.